This meeting is now being recorded.
On behalf of the Child Abuse Prevention Treatment Act CAPTA work group, welcome to the webinar today. I am Lenita Hartman from Early Intervention Colorado, out of the Office of Early Childhood. Here with me today is Matt Holtman, out of the Office of Children, Youth, and Families, also at the Colorado Department of Human Services. Together, we co-chair the CAPTA work group. In addition, we are joined by Chris Miller from the Colorado Department of Education. Chris is the State Child Find Coordinator in the Exceptional Student Services Unit and is a member of the CAPTA work group. Also on the call with us today is Kellyanna Foster from Developmental Pathways, a local community center board that provides early intervention services. Kellyanna is the data manager at Developmental Pathways and is also a valued member of the CAPTA work group. The CAPTA work group is an interdisciplinary team of subject matter experts that came together to assist with the development of the Frequently Asked Questions document to help clarify requirements and the misalignment of federal and state requirements for child welfare as it relates to birth through 2-year-olds and children ages 3 through 4. This cross-agency work group includes myself, Matt Holtman, Chris Miller, Kellyanna Foster, Kimberly Bills, and Jody Litfin. We're also in the process of recruiting for additional members from child welfare. This group's been a year and a half developing an online interactive FAQ to inform the referral process for developmental screening for children involved in the child welfare system. A wide array of additional stakeholders had a chance to provide feedback during the FAQ vetting process. A huge thank you to everyone who participated in the creation of this resource. The FAQs are intended to provide guidance to communities throughout Colorado in order to fulfill requirements of federal and state statute regarding developmental screening for children under age 5, as well as to provide a platform for further conversation in communities to ensure collaborative screening and services for children under age 5. This webinar is available at the same URL location as the FAQ, in addition to the Early Intervention Colorado website. This webinar is intended for those who work within child welfare, early intervention, special education, including administrative units, including administrators of all 3 systems, as well as other interested community partners and stakeholders. First, we will review requirements for referral for developmental screening for children under the age of 5. Then you will have an opportunity to explore the FAQ as we guide you through how to access and utilize the online FAQ by looking at some of the questions within the document. Before we delve into the online FAQ, however, we would like to draw your attention to the reason the CAPTA work group decided to create this tool. As you can see on the slide, child abuse and/or neglect is a form of toxic stress that can have a lifelong impact. Developmental screening is a way to determine if a child's physical, social, emotional, cognitive, and adaptive development is typical for his or her age, and if there is a need for further evaluation. Being able to explain to families why screening is beneficial for a child is an important component of our work. Now let's discuss the distinction between federal and state law. Federal law focuses only on children birthed through age 2, while Colorado state law includes children ages 3 and 4 as well. When you hear the term CAPTA, it is referring to the federal law that requires a referral from child welfare for developmental screening for children birthed through age 2 when child abuse and/or neglect is founded. In addition, CAPTA requires a response by the early intervention system as described in Part C of IDEA. In Colorado, The early intervention system includes community-centered boards and the Special Education Administrative Unit Child Find during screening and evaluation. As a result, you can see the importance of understanding roles, responsibilities, procedures, and cross-system coordination. Colorado state law expands the federal CAPTA requirement by also requiring that referrals for developmental screening be made for 3- and 4-year-olds. Unlike CAPTA birth through age 2, where the early intervention system is required to respond, state law does not require one system to respond to referrals for children ages 3 and 4. In Colorado, a referral for developmental screening may be made to any agency that conducts developmental screening, such as primary care physicians, community agencies, as well as the AU Child Find. This misalignment between federal and state law is one of the primary reasons the CAPTA work group developed this FAQ. Now Chris is going to walk us through the purpose behind the FAQ.
The 4 main purposes of the online FAQ are noted on the slide. Overall, it is to provide accurate information related to child welfare referrals, as well as to promote consistent understanding of rules and required activities. It's also important to keep in mind Colorado's strong value of local control, which allows local agencies to operate with a great deal of local flexibility and decision-making authority. The variations in available programs and procedures from community to community may present a challenge for local partners when engaging in collaboration around developmental screening, but also in opportunities to develop the local system to meet the needs of local system partners and the families you serve. The CAPTA work group identified frequently asked questions and developed answers in order to provide a foundational level of knowledge across the education, child welfare, and early intervention sectors, as well as to promote common understanding and messaging. Personnel from each agency or program involved in this work are encouraged to review local policies and procedures, to explore and deepen existing collaborations, and to consider improvements and recommended practices that meet or go beyond minimal requirements. The development of local interagency agreements are required for community-centered boards and encouraged for other agencies involved in this work. The FAQ was intentionally developed as an online tool. It is not intended to be printed out as a standalone reference document. Having it web-based allows for more timely updates, immediate access, and ease of use. For example, when a user specifically needs information related to consent for evaluation, he or she may navigate directly to that information. Hyperlinks within the document allow for users to easily navigate within the tool to related concepts, questions, and resources. The tool is split into 3 main sections. First, the terms and definitions will help a variety of audiences better understand the context in which we work. These definitions provide consistent use and understanding of the requirements of the systems and community agencies in relation to developmental screening requirements. The frequently asked questions is the next section and addresses commonly asked questions and misunderstandings from the systems involved in this work. Finally, the resources section includes links to literature, other helpful guidance, research, and contact information for further assistance or training. Questions are grouped by 5 categories, which are noted on the left as the FAQ headings. Each question has also been categorized by the age group to which it applies. Some questions apply only to children birth through age 2, some only to children 3 through 4, and other questions apply to both age groups, birth through age 4. Lastly, the audience groups are indicated for each question, so that members of each system can focus, if they wish, on those questions that apply primarily to them. For example, a child welfare caseworker may want to review all questions for which they are designated a primary audience. Early intervention or special education child find personnel may also wish to focus specifically on those questions that most pertain to their role, and so on. Now that you have the background and more information about the tool, Matt will navigate the online tool and highlight some questions.
While we have everyone on the webinar, we wanted to also highlight a few frequently asked questions. Most of these are asked questions within the FAQ. These questions are also highlighted some of the features we've built into the online tool. The online tool may be found at the web address shown on your screen.
What types of referrals come from child welfare for developmental screening?
This is a question members of the CAPTA work group frequently receive from community-centered boards and other screening agencies. Here you can see that there are 4 different types of referrals. First are the CAPTA referrals. These are the referrals for children birth through age 2 when there is a founded child abuse and or neglect. These referrals, as we discussed earlier in this webinar, are required at both the federal and state level. These referrals go to the community-centered boards. Second types of referrals are for 3 and 4 founded referrals. These are for the children aged 3 to 4 when there is a founded child abuse and or neglect. These referrals may be made to a number of community agencies, including primary care physicians, administrative unit child find, or other agencies. The third are the general child welfare referrals. These are not for children birth through age 4 where there is not a founded child abuse and or neglect. Here you can see that within the FAQs, we made reference to other questions within the FAQ. Finally, we briefly discussed other referrals. These are for children over the age of 5.
When child abuse and or neglect is founded on a child under the age of 5, what is the child welfare caseworker's responsibility regarding developmental screening?
We're highlighting this question to show that some questions include written and graphic answers. In this example, we reiterate the child welfare caseworker must make the referral for a developmental screen when child abuse and or neglect is founded. The answer then shows the clear line for referrals for kids birth through age 2 in the community-centered boards. The answer also shows options available for kids ages 3 through 4, including primary care physicians and other community agencies. One example of this is in Pueblo County, where the Department of Social Services has an agreement with their local public health organization so that the child welfare caseworkers refer the child to public health for the developmental screening. Please note that it is important for only the referral to refer to the administrative unit child find if there is a concern that the child may have a need for special education. In many communities, the Child Welfare Department may believe that the AU Child Find is only source for referrals. However, the AU Child Find does not have a requirement to conduct screenings or evaluations unless they suspect that the child has a disability and a need for special education. We encourage the Child Welfare Department or the AU Child Find to initiate conversations to determine other appropriate screening agencies.
What is the difference between referrals for children ages birth through 2 and 3 through 4?
We are highlighting this question because it's such a sticking point in Colorado. As you heard from Lenita earlier in this webinar, Colorado has one system for the children birth through age 2. However, for the children ages 3 through 4, there is no one system that is required to respond. In this question, we provide examples of possible screening entities for children ages 3 through 4. We also share examples of how communities can identify screening entities. County Departments of Human Social Services, in collaboration with community agencies, are charged with identifying entities within their communities that are able to complete developmental screening for children aged 3 through 4. In some communities, there may be many resources available to conduct developmental screening, while in other communities, there may be limited resources. Child welfare directors and or administrators can work with their local community agencies and stakeholders to identify appropriate agencies to receive developmental screening referrals. They may also work with community agencies and stakeholders to identify resource gaps or limitations and discuss how to fill these gaps. In collaboration with stakeholders and agencies, the County Department of Human Social Services can develop procedures with community agencies to determine what activities and communication occurs after referral is made.
What is the child welfare caseworker's responsibility after making a referral for developmental screening?
We're highlighting this question because many times the agencies who receive the referral have a difficult time getting in contact with the family. For example, a phone number may no longer be working, or the family does not return the agency's phone calls. In these situations, the agency may want to contact the child welfare caseworker to get updated contact information. Please note that the answer depends on whether or not the family is still involved with child welfare. Here you can see that the CAPTA work group answers the question, but also includes talking points for caseworkers when they speak with families to help normalize the need for a referral and engage completion of the screening.
When parental consent is required for screenings and/or evaluations, who is authorized to sign consent for developmental screening and evaluations?
This is another question we chose to highlight because it is one of the most frequently asked questions by screening entities such as community center boards and the administrative unit child find. It is also a complicated answer, and so we have included both text and a flow chart for your reference. The flow chart starts with the first question that must be asked. Have parental rights been terminated by the court? If the answer is no, then you can see in the flow chart that it is important to make significant attempts to obtain consent from the parents. If the parents decline consent, then the process ends and the referral source can be notified. If the parents provide consent, then you can move forward with completing screening and/or evaluation. However, if the parents cannot be located or are unresponsive after multiple attempts, then other individuals may be able to provide consent for screening and/or evaluation. You can see on the flow chart that these are the same individuals who may provide consent if parent rights have been terminated by the court. Finally, at the bottom in a separate box, we list the individuals who are never able to sign consent.
What happens when a family chooses not to consent or engage in screening and/or evaluation when a referral has been made from child welfare?
The challenge here is that developmental screening and evaluations are voluntary, and the parents have the right to decline consent. In this answer, we help explain why a parent may not provide consent and what child welfare caseworkers and screening or evaluation entities can do to engage parents.
What's important to keep in mind when screening and/or evaluating children who have experienced child abuse and/or neglect?
In this answer, we cover some of the research related to the intersection between child abuse and/or neglect and developmental delays. Then we narrow the focus to social-emotional development because it is well documented that social-emotional development is the domain most affected by child abuse and/or neglect. This may include attachment issues, difficulty developing social relationships with peers, post-traumatic stress disorder, and antisocial behaviors. Those performing developmental screening may naturally find it easier to observe and document delays in cognitive, language, and physical development than with social-emotional development. It is also recommended that developmental screening include, in addition to the use of general screening tools, the use of standardized tools designed specifically to identify social-emotional concerns. One commonly utilized screening tool, which focuses exclusively on identifying concerns about social-emotional development, is Social-Emotional Ages and Stages Questionnaire. Here, you can see that we included a link to the Ages and Stages website for more information.
What are the parents' rights and responsibilities?
As you can see, some answers are very short and sweet. However, we also know that even after reading an answer, you may still have questions. Always feel free to contact the subject matter expert listed in the resources section of the FAQ.
What is the parents and/or legal guardian's role in developmental screening and evaluation activities?
As you can see, we start by linking to the consent question. Next, we talk about the screening and evaluation activities. Here, we highlight the importance of including parents as much as possible in the process. Just because child abuse and/or neglect occurs within a family does not mean that the parent should be excluded from any screening and/or evaluation activities. In fact, parents are experts on their children's lives, and their knowledge is vital for screening and/or evaluation. In addition, the majority of children involved with child welfare either remain in their parents' home or return home to their parents' care. By involving parents in screening and evaluation, as well as early childhood services, we ensure that parents have the tools to continue to support their child's development after child welfare is no longer involved with the family. Please wait for a moment while we stop sharing our screen so we can direct you to some resources.
So you'll see that we attached many of the screenshots which we just went through live. In case anybody wants the PowerPoint and you're able to download it. If there's any further need or reference to the slides, they're all available. Thank you for letting us highlight these specific FAQs. We welcome questions at any time for any of the information which we have just covered and navigated through the online FAQ. We also welcome more general questions about the FAQ and referrals for any developmental screenings. Please contact any of the people listed on the next slide.
Thank you so much for joining us today, and we look forward to hearing from you.